Hello, Maddie, aka Hello Interloper here. Today we have our very first question and answer session, and our very first question comes from Yo-Yo from Summoner's War. They ask, Hua or Spectra? Who should I rune first? This is a pretty complicated question, and I honestly can't answer it without first going over both of them with you guys, because it's a hard decision. I mean, you have two really good, useful monsters that you're going to both eventually want to rune and build. But which one goes first? Let's take a peek at both of these monsters. First, let's go over Hua, who is the Fire Rakshasa, which is a mouthful, but is also a natural 4-star monster. She has some pretty nice skills. Starting with her leader skill, which is increasing the critical rate of ally monsters by 19%. You probably will not be using this very often, simply because speed leaders and HP leaders kind of rule the game right now. Her basic attack is Swing, which attacks the enemy with a whip, decreasing the enemy's attack speed for 2 turns with a 50% chance. The damage increases according to attack speed. As you can see here, this damage deals approximately 130 plus her speed times 1.8. And then that is multiplied by her attack stat, and then that's the amount of damage she would do if there wasn't any reduction on the, the opposite enemy. Oh my god. First we'll talk about Fire Rakshasa, also known as Hua. Other than being quite the mouthful, the Fire Rakshasa is also a natural 4-star. She has a pretty nice skill set, starting with her leader skill, which increases the critical rate of ally monsters by 19%. You probably will not be using this very often, simply because HP and speed leaders right now kind of rule the game. There are, of course, a few situations where you might want critical rate up, so it's nice that her leader skill applies to everything rather than simply just dungeons or just arenas or just etc. So her first ability is Swing, which attacks the enemy with a whip, decreasing the enemy's attack speed for 2 turns with a 50% chance. The damage increases according to her attack speed. Therefore, a fast Hua is a good Hua. Now, the multipliers here are a little bit confusing, but basically put, this skill deals approximately 130 plus her speed times 1.8, and then all that is then the percentage of the attack stat, and that's the amount of damage it would do. But of course, that is before reductions such as the enemy's defense, and if the enemy has a defense buff, and all that kind of stuff. So a little complicated, but basically you want attack and very high speed. Her second ability is Burning Swing, which attacks with a burning whip and inflicts continuous damage for 3 turns. That's pretty darn nice because continuous damage, as you probably know, deals 5% of the enemy's max HP per turn. For 3 turns, that means over 3 turns, that means 5% every turn. 15% total. Now, this is reusable in 4 turns, but if it's fully maxed, the cooldown turn will go down by 1. I got a little tongue-tied there, but it'll be reusable in 3 turns, making this a pretty good attack, especially when you take into account that the multiplier is 485% of her attack stat, so this will definitely be doing a lot of damage. Now, for the grand finale, her passive, which is Burning Whip. It decreases the enemy's attack bar by 25% and strikes again with a 20% chance. This means that every time she attacks, she's not only lowering the attack bar of the enemy by 25%, but she also basically has a built-in violent rune set. This is why you see a lot of Huas just go turn after turn and absolutely obliterate your team, especially in Arena and Guild Wars. Now, she really doesn't serve best on a defense team, but sometimes she can be pretty darn deadly. Second contender is Spectra, also known as Fire Griffin. He is a natural 3-star, and is more of a support type monster. Now, his skill set is, of course, a little more limited. There's no leader skill, and his first skill is pretty much similar in multiplier, at least to Hua's basic. It is, of course, based off of his speed, although the multiplier for the speed itself is a little bit lower. Makes sense, he's a 3-star, not a 4-star. But there is no special effect. It just does an attack. As it attacks the enemy with razor sharp claws, damage increases accordingly to your attack speed. So it's not going to slow the enemy like Hua's main attack does. Now, Special Assault is a very interesting ability because it's very much tailored towards enemies with high HP or bosses. It inflicts damage proportional to the enemy's max HP and consumes 10% of your own HP, meaning that if you're going to be using this, you definitely want a healer on your team. It's reusable in 4 turns, but of course if you do max it, it'll be 3 turns. So the multiplier here is a little complicated, but it deals approximately 275% of your attack stat and 16% of the enemy's max HP stat, but this is of course before any reduction, such as the enemy's defense. Then finally, the last ability is Backlash. It sends out a gust of wind that has a 50% chance to decrease the attack gauge of all enemies by 30%. If you remember Hua's basic attack has a chance to lower, thanks to the passive that is, lower the attack bar by 25%, but all of her attacks are single target. This is a AoE attack, also known as Area of Effect, affecting all of the enemies, and it's 30%. But of course, rather than every attack, this is only applying to Backlash, which does have a 5-turn cooldown, fully maxed, is 3 turns. But it also does another thing. It decreases their attack speed for 2 turns, meaning that basically, if you think about it, Hua and Spectra are kind of doing the same thing. They're both reducing the attack gauge and also decreasing the speed. The difference is, of course, Spectra has a different skill set and is more of support. Now let's go into a little bit of a deeper comparison here and how you would end up ruining both of these. So here we have Hua and Spectra side by side, fire versus fire. Let's go over both of them briefly, kind of a recap on what both of these monsters do and what their uses are and what their weaknesses are. Now let's start off with Hua. She is a single target speed debuffer. Her basic attack does this. Meanwhile, Spectra is an AoE speed debuffer, and his ability that does that has a 3-turn cooldown. Hua has a single target attack bar reduction for every attack. Meanwhile, Spectra has an AoE attack bar reduction, but it has a 3-turn cooldown. Hua has a built-in violent effect, which is really nice, and Spectra has a second skill which scales to the enemy's HP, which also is very, very nice. Now, there are of course downsides to both of them. Hua is very squishy. She doesn't have a lot of defense. She's mainly an attack-based mob. Meanwhile, Spectra is mainly a support against regular mobs. By that I mean he doesn't really do that much damage to begin with, and while he does support the rest of the team by slowing and reducing the attack bar, his second skill, which is, scales to the enemy's HP, it's really not that useful against a regular mob. Most of the time, any other monster you have on your team will do more damage than Spectra will do with Special Assault to a regular mob. So, both of them have different areas of usage. Hua can be used in TOA, Trial of Ascension, can be used in dungeons, especially for, I know this is kind of crazy, but she's used a lot in Giants. And I know that sounds kind of crazy because Giants Basement 10 is water, but the fact that she can reduce that attack bar is amazing, because that means he's not doing his crazy attack and whatnot, although he will use the turn-based attack. About how many times he's hit, he'll attack that person, but you can kind of time that so that way a different monster will take that attack other than Hua. But also the continuous damage is of course great against giants, so she's just overall great at wrecking bosses. And she's also great on arena offense, because you can control a certain monster that, let's say, has a really good attack. Well, just focus Hua, get the attack bar down, and hopefully hope for the best that he doesn't fill up his attack bar enough to attack you. You can control pretty much the entire arena battle with Hua just by reducing that attack bar over and over again and preventing the enemy from actually hitting. Now, meanwhile, Spectra is a Trial of Ascension and Trial of Ascension hard mode god because of his speed debuff and his attack bar reduction. Now, most of the time, you see a lot of people doing TOA hard with Mav. Mav being Wind Penguin. He has a cooldown reduction for the entire team, which means that Spectra will be able to use Backlash so many darn times that your enemies will barely even have a chance to hit. So he's great for TOA hard. He has just great synergy for TOA hard. But even if you're just doing TOA normal, those bosses, Special Assault is great for that. Great for getting to the bosses, great through getting through the really tough levels because of all of his great crowd control. And also, he's very good for Dragon's Basement 10. Well, he doesn't really do that well in Giants because his attack skill set just isn't really tailored to Giants. Giants, you really want continuous damage, attack bar reduction, that sort of thing, but for Dragons, you want to get that guy down as fast as possible. Continuous damage is great for Dragons, don't get me wrong, but you just want that guy dead because his damage is just going to go up the longer he's alive. So, let's go to rune recommendations. Hua, I personally recommend Violent Focus, Speed, Attack Percent, and Accuracy. You can take Accuracy off as the last one if you have really good accuracy subs. You can substitute that with attack. If you think she's too squishy, you might want to put HP, but the thing is you need some attack percentage and you definitely need that speed. Speed is vital. You want a fast Hua. Meanwhile, Spectra, I personally think that you should take advantage of his already high speed stat and go for Swift Focus. Focus because you definitely want his attack bar reduction to hit. It isn't a 100% chance. Now the speed debuff is a 100% chance, but of course resistance will still go into play. Therefore Focus will give you a little more accuracy, hopefully make up for any of those downfalls. And you want him to be super duper fast and tanky because you want him to survive. And also, he does have that second skill, Special Assault, where he does lose 10% of his HP. And, that kind of sucks. But it always helps, to have more HP so you can then survive a hit after you've lost that 10% HP. If you have really flimsy HP and you're hurt a little, it's going to hurt a lot more. Just having that part missing, that sort of thing. So, final verdict, it's really hard to make because Hua and Spectra are both great. It really comes down to which runes you have right now and what you are currently working on. If you cannot beat Giants 10 or you are currently working on awakening a lot of monsters, doing normal TOA, are trying to do okay in Arena, go for Hua because she is an amazing attacker. Now, meanwhile, if you're focused towards a little more endgame, let's say near the end of Trial of Ascension, the end, I'm saying like in the 80s, 90s, going maybe for 100, or you're starting TOA hard, or you're doing DB10, go for Spectra. He's definitely your go-to for getting it a little more accessible and easy to beat. So that's my rundown. If you disagree with me, feel free to say so in the comments. It's my personal opinion. That's all. Just go with what you feel you need the most right now. And of course, I know right now violent runes are pretty hard to get if you can't do DB10. So, if you really, really have to, put Hua on Swift. It's kind of, a general rule. Most things that you would put on violent, if you don't have violent, you can get away with Swift for a little while. It's fine. It's not going to be as good as violent, but it's better than nothing. You don't want to end up slapping on 3-star runes when you can be putting on 5-star Swift runes. You know what I'm saying? So, that's all for our first question. Moving on. Our second question comes from a viewer asking, is Wind Viking any good? First of all, let's look at Wind Viking, also known as Walter. He is an HP type monster, and his first skill is Throwing Axe, which attacks with a flying axe and inflicts continuous damage for 3 turns with a 30% chance. This is a pretty low chance for a continuous damage attack, but if it does hit, it's kind of nice. He does have a 310% multiplier on this of the attack stat, and the harmful effect rate does go up based on whether you level that skill up or not, but probably not enough to really be that viable. He has Crushing Armor, which attacks an enemy and decreases the enemy's defense for 2 turns. This is useful somewhat, but there are a lot of other monsters that do this better, especially if we're talking about the Inugami family. Fire, which is known as Roke, or Beladion, which is Light, both do this with their basic attack. They are able to break the defense for 2 turns on a basic attack, which is kind of better than having an attack that's a second skill dedicated to that. The damage increases according to your current HP situation, but as of now, we really don't know how this works. Unfortunately, I have not tested out Wind Viking myself, so I don't know if it does more damage, if you have less HP, or what the whole thing is, but the cool time will go down by 1 based on whether or not it's fully skilled up. His last attack is Firing Axe once he's awakened, and it throws 5 axes randomly. This is okay, I would say. Throwing 5 axes randomly is, of course, random. You don't know who's going to be hit, and let's say that you're trying to fire it at a water monster, because, wind is strong against water. Whoops, almost said fire. Wind is strong against water. Let's clarify that. And you throw the axes and they randomly hit a fire monster. You obviously have not really had good luck, and you're not really doing much damage. Each attack has a 30% chance to inflict continuous damage for 3 turns, which, again, is a pretty low chance to inflict continuous damage. When it's fully skilled up, the cooldown cooltime turn -1, whatever, it goes down by 1, reusable in 5 turns. Overall, his skill set, while it may seem useful, is not that great when you take into account the fact that other monsters can do this job a lot better. And if we were to open a different website, you can see how people have rated him based on different areas. You can make him somewhat tanky by giving him energy and focus, but just generally he isn't that great. He can apply a defense debuff, but of course Inugami can do that with their basic attack, so it's really just not worth waiting, excuse me, how many turns was that? 3 turns for. And then he's just has pretty weak stats and he's slow. So in dungeons, in arena offense, in TOA, just not very useful, barely useful in Guild War defense, arena defense, Guild War offense. He's just generally not really a good monster. So I would not recommend keeping Wind Viking for very long. Maybe I would make him a 4-star, but that's as far as I would take him. Unless you're really attached to him for some reason and just have the things to spare for evolution, but there's a lot better monsters that you can build up than Wind Viking. The last question I received was also through YouTube comment. Please, please, please ask through the forums. That's what the forum is for! But anyway, somebody asked for a team update, so you know what? I say, why the hell not? Might as well update you on my team. So, I know that unfortunately my big fat logo is blocking a lot of the monster here. I'm so sorry. I, just really don't want people knowing who I am on the game. It's a long story, okay? Anyway, my team. I've been trying to update my runes, farming a lot of dragons and a lot of giants, because right now I am stuck on TOA 100. I cannot defeat Lyrith, and I know why. I know the reason. It's because, first of all, Verde is on Swift, and not very good Swift. Bella is on Swift, and not spectacular Swift. And Mr. Beretta here does not have enough accuracy. So I know exactly why I can't beat it, and that's why I've been farming runes like crazy. I mean, just look at Beretta's HP. He has the HP to hold his own in TOA 100. He just does not have the accuracy. And right now, when I do battle Lyrith, I get to the point where both of her incarnations are up. I'm killing one of them, it dies. I'm almost done killing the second, and then she reabsorbs them, which really, really sucks. And of course, every time she absorbs an incarnation, she gets stronger, and then eventually wipes my team. I do have the sustain to keep my team alive as long as she doesn't absorb any incarnations. But what's doing the most damage to the incarnations, of course, is the continuous damage. And, you know, Phoenix Fury really helps. And, you know, some skill ups would help a lot too. But I'm not really willing to fuse tons of Berettas just for that reason. But yeah, also, I mean, if Verde was on Violent, that would mean more attack up, you know, attack bar increase, that'd mean more chances to attack the incarnations, and Bella would be healing more, and maybe I'd be able to survive an incarnation reabsorption, you know, all that kind of stuff. It's just really hard right now to get those stupid runes. I keep getting Violent runes, and they're all flat stats, and it's just painful. On the other hand, I've been working on quite a few monsters. I did 6-star Konamiya quite recently in an attempt to make dragons easier, which it has, slower but easier. Because I previously used Chloe, and Konamiya has better survivability because, of course, he is water and not fire, and also that cleansing effect of peace every 3 turns is quite nice. Extra heal, AoE, you know, whatnot. Poor Chasen. She still does not have her runes, and, you know, once again, Violent runes just not dropping. I don't want to put Swift on her. I want her to be the very best that she can be, because I was waiting so long to finally get her, so I'm not going to skimp. Tiana is almost ruined completely. Almost. I just need a little more. I need her to be a little more speedy, and hopefully she will be a lot better. Then, of course, I've been working on a lot of stuff. Just got a lot of junk 5-stars here that I don't really use. I fused Panda not too long ago, ignoring him for now. Don't have the runes, don't have the time. Got a lot of things that are a little more important than Mr. Panda right now. Arya has been 5-starred and awakened, and she's pretty skilled up. I mean, she still definitely needs more skill ups. But all of those fire succubi that I pulled from stones did go for something. I am building a Mantura because Mantura is the frickin' bomb. I don't know if you guys are aware, but he did get buffed a while back. He does have a chance to remove a beneficial effect, which of course is always nice. Dark Blast decreases attack speed for 2 turns, which is basically, you know, what Spectra does. except he does not reduce the attack bar. The damage of the skill will increase according to your max HP, which is kind of nice. And then, of course, Poison Mist, which is my absolute favorite. It is a defense break, an AoE defense break, and deals continuous damage for 2 turns, and is proportionate to his max HP. In other words, he is the AoE debuff master. I absolutely love his skill set. He's not even ruined, and I just love seeing him use it, even just with farming EXP for him. Although right now, I need to make more fodder, because I don't have any evolution fodder. I did pull Thrain a little while ago. I have been working on him, skilling him up, because I heard he's very good for TOA hard, because of his skills. He has a Grim Scythe, which of course is, average. But Plague spreads Plague to all enemies with an 80% chance, inflict 2 continuous damage effects that last for 2 turns. This is also on water, and I think wind, I'm not entirely sure, but I got both cool time turns down. And then Doomsday, which is really nice. If there are continuous damage effects, they're all stunned for 1 turn, and also it does damage. So I'm thinking, if I put Thrain and Manshura together, it's pretty much a guaranteed stun whenever Doomsday is back up. I'm kind of looking forward to seeing the chaos that might result from that. Spectra is slowly gaining EXP, not ruined yet, but will eventually have to. I pulled Lisa a while ago. She's not awakened yet. Have other things to work on. But I gave her all of the Olivias that I farmed from Hall of Heroes a while ago. I 5-starred Raccoony because people like him and whatnot, and why the hell not. Talk, still working on him. He's 4-star. I will eventually 5-star him. He still needs quite a few, actually not that many. He needs 3 more skill ups before he's done. And of course I would love to have Basalt, but just unlucky LD scroll pulls. Mav, I definitely want to work on him at some point. He's fully skilled up right now, and I definitely would love to have him for TOA hard. Because, the time will come eventually. Tanya kind of not doing anything with her. Sue kind of not doing anything with her. Zabalta kind of not doing anything with him. Orion, of course, I will eventually work on just because Orion is the bomb in Arena. Or the ball. Because he's sitting on a ball. Oh my god, that was a terrible joke. Freya is just kind of sitting there. I mean, if I get a light or dark Sylphid, or maybe even a Cassis, maybe I'll use her. Maybe I might even use her to 6-star Lumi, but either way, she's not going to be built, just because she's kind of trash. Atna, still not really sure what on earth to do with her. I guess maybe I'll build her someday. Because I've seen some really tanky Atnas that just drove me up the wall, so maybe. Wind Succubus probably will just feed her to make Arya a 6-star someday. And kind of, sort of, working on a Tark for DB10. I heard a lot of people saying, oh yeah, make tons of Tarks, take down DB10 really super duper fast. So, maybe someday. Right now, I'm not exactly at the point where I feel I am able to do that. And of course, I've got so much 3-star food that I need to build, but for the time being, I'm just focusing on certain things. And of course, doing the event. Oh my god, I got low battery. What are we gonna do? Anyway, make sure that you guys are all doing the daily challenges for the 60 million download event, because it will be ending within a few days. And also this weekend is going to be pretty cool because we're going to have all dungeons open. And I'm pretty sure there's also a free TOA event. I can't really think off the top of my head. You know what, let's click event and find out. For some reason the event page is always so slow to load, and it's honestly annoying. Yes, there will be Trial of Ascension free entrance event, and also all 5 attributes dungeons opened over the weekend, so you can awaken all your things. Yay! And going over to here, gonna just do a quick mention of how many days are left as of right now. 6 days! You have 6 days to do this. And yeah, I just have to finish today's daily mission, and then I'm done with this, and I'm happy about that. Although kind of sad at the same time, because now I got nothing to work towards except for farming more runes. Oh, I hate farming for runes. I always get flat stat runes, and I sell them for like 13k mana, and I'm like, oh, I'd much rather have the rune if it wasn't flat stat. It's depressing. Anyway, that's my little team update. Make sure that you check out the description of this video or the comment section for the submission form for your questions. Ask me anything. I can demonstrate a TOA, level, boss, whatever. You can ask me what to rune first. You know, Spectra. You know, I can answer a lot of things. The best of my ability. Just know that I haven't gotten really far in TOA hard, and I can't do Necro 10 yet. That's pretty much as far as my skills go. Anyway, best of luck to everybody, and see you next time.